Swadikap, and good afternoon once again. Today is Friday, the 22nd of October 2021, and this is the English language summary of the daily press briefing. Actually, not daily right now, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, here at the Center for COVID Situation Administration, or CCSA, as always, to provide you, the English language audience, with the up-to-date information, addressing a lot of inquiries that you have sent in, and of course, to keep everyone on the same page, not only the Thai language audience, but also the English language audience, viewing from abroad and also on social media and on television here in Thailand for certain countries and territories from the 1st of November 2021 onwards. So yesterday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced the list of 45 countries and one territory where individuals are permitted to enter Thailand without quarantine, based on specific guidelines. And you have a list there of the 45 countries and one territory on screen. Of course, you can also find information about this on the social media platforms of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as the CCSA and other news outlets. This was reported widely since last night. So the CCSA and related agencies have carefully considered this list based on many factors. This includes the coherence with other countries' reopening plans. So the coherence with the policy of other countries are taken into consideration, as well as their international travel regulations to ensure the safety of everyone residing in Thailand and incoming travelers from abroad. And even though some countries and areas are not on this first list that you saw just now, but if you are fully vaccinated, you can enter the sandbox scheme still, the sandbox scheme in various provinces, which you can travel freely within those sandbox areas. And of course, this list of 45 countries and one territory will be revised in the middle of November in the coming 2 to 3 weeks. And again, also in the beginning of December. So don't be too worried that the country that you reside in, it may not be on this first list yet. And hopefully, of course, there will be more countries and areas added during this very short time span in the coming weeks. Now, so starting from the 1st of November 2021 onwards, there will be 3 channels for those who wish to enter Thailand. First, fully vaccinated individuals who have been residing in these 45 countries and one territory for at least 21 consecutive days may enter Thailand without quarantine on the following conditions. Now, I'm talking about the green column that you see on screen. You can look at some details there. Now, first is that they must have a negative RT-PCR test result issued within 72 hours before traveling. They must also undergo an RT-PCR test on their arrival date and wait for the result of the test at a SHA Plus hotel or AQ hotel, or until they receive confirmation of a negative result. Those who have just traveled out from Thailand, those who are resident in Thailand actually, and those who have traveled out from Thailand after being resident here will be exempt from the 21-day stay requirement of the listed countries and territory. Second, now we're talking about the blue column in the center there. Fully vaccinated travelers may enter Thailand via the sandbox schemes, but must stay in the sandbox area for at least 7 days. And of course, you know the provinces such as Phuket. We started off with Phuket as the first sandbox scheme. And travelers under this scheme will have to undergo 2 RT-PCR tests. The first test is on the arrival date, and the second test is on the 6th or 7th day of their stay. Now, third, and we're talking about the red column on screen right now, both Thai and foreign nationals who have not been fully vaccinated may enter Thailand, but will have to undergo the alternative quarantine or AQ for 10 days if they travel by air, 14 days if they travel by land. They will have to take 2 RT-PCR tests on the arrival date and on the day 8th and 9th of their stay. And just in addition, particularly talking about the green column, the 45 countries and one territory, which of course will be an expanded list in due course. Just talking particularly about that column, that children aged under 12 years old who are unvaccinated can enter the country in the same arrangements, same measures as their parents. So if their parents and children, the family, travels from one of those 45 countries and one territory, they of course will be exempted from the quarantine with the conditions mentioned. But the children accompanying those parents from the 45 countries, children under 12 who are not vaccinated can still enter the country with their parents under the same arrangement and measures with their parents when traveling with their parents. I'll move on to the issue on the curfew to be lifted in the sandbox provinces. This was mentioned also by Dr. Apisamai in the Thai language briefing just now as well, that in line with the gradual relaxation of measures toward Thailand's reopening, the current curfew, which is 11 p.m. to 3 a.m., will be lifted in the 17 pilot tourism provinces, or the sandbox provinces, starting from 11 p.m. on the 31st of October 2021. So on the 31st of October 2021, the curfew will be lifted in these 17 pilot tourism sandbox provinces. And of course, these 17 provinces include Bangkok, Prayut Chan-o-cha, Phetchaburi, Samut Prakan, Chiang Mai, Buriram, Loi, Nong Khai, Udon Thani, Chonburi, Trat, Rayong, Krabi, Phang Nga, Phuket, Ranong, and Surat Thani provinces, 17. Please note that for some provinces, the curfew will only be lifted in specified low-risk areas and not the entire province. So of course, naturally, check with the local authorities there as well. Just an additional information which may be of interest to the English language audience today is on the request for vaccine certificate through the MAPROM application. We have an infographic up there, courtesy of the Public Relations Department. The Bamrat Naradun Infectious Disease Institute has opened a new channel for requesting this vaccine certificate for international travel. So from the 18th of October onwards, people who apply for vaccine certificates can register via the MAPROM application. And after registering, users can select their preferred delivery channel. And payment, of course, can be made upon pickup or by e-payment or QR code. The Department of Disease Control, or DDC, has also announced that as of the 6th of October 2021, there had been over 31,000 people who have walked in to request for this vaccine certificate document. So therefore, an online platform for requesting this vaccine certificate has been set up and aims to reduce the congestion and facilitate the application process. First, as always, the DDC hotline is 1442, which you can access for more information. So it's a long holiday actually this week. We'll have the weekend tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, and the next time we have the briefing would be on Monday, this coming Monday. Just to close, I'd like just to mention that as the disease control measures continue to be relaxed and we open up the country for quarantine exempt travelers from 45 countries and one territory, we're moving ahead for the country's reopening. We're finding a balance in terms of the economic dimension as well as the health dimension. Rest assured that this balance will be fair. We're going to have a lot of considerations. We're going to recap and evaluate after the 1st of November, surely, on the results of this new announcement, this new scheme. Please remember that we're still not in a zero-risk situation, not at all in a zero-risk situation, and that, of course, it is still necessary to keep our guard up and practice the important measures that we have always been talking about, DMHTT. So with that note, that's all I have for today. Thank you, everyone. Please stay safe. Have a very, very restful and good weekend, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you, and sawadee krap.
Let me turn now to some information on the Thailand Pass system, which I'm sure many of you will be interested in. The slide that you are seeing now contains a lot of information. I would just summarize this by saying that according to the ease of traveling policy, this quote-unquote Thailand Pass system will be adopted to replace the majority of the Certificate of Entry or COE process after the reopening of the country on the 1st of November to travelers from low-risk countries. The Thailand Pass system specifically aims to facilitate entry into Thailand by shortening the process for filing information and uploading travelers' documents. As I'm sure many of you will be interested in, the list of low-risk countries will be finalized this week, and the government is working very hard to ensure that we will be able to share this list with you as soon as possible. Thailand Pass will require travelers to fill in the T8 health questionnaire and the TM6 immigration form, as well as to upload a vaccine certificate. The Department of Disease Control will be responsible for verifying the vaccine certificates and giving an approval through the back system office within 1 to 3 days after registration. What happens next is that travelers can then download the Thailand Pass QR code immediately after receiving approval, and they will be asked to show this QR code along with your COVID-19 negative test result issued no more than 72 hours before departure. So no other documents other than this are required, and you do not have to fill out another T8 or TM6 form after arriving in Thailand. The Thailand Pass system is expected to be launched on the 1st of November and will be applicable to all with some exceptions, which are that the COE will still be required only for certain specific groups of travelers, such as those entering the alternative hospital quarantine, travelers entering through land borders, and travelers entering Thailand on yachts and cruise ships. As far as resumption of domestic flights are concerned, and we've been hearing a bit about this in the media in the last couple of days, it will be in line with the latest easing of the COVID-19 restrictions as the Civil Aviation Authority of Thailand has revised its guidelines to increase the capacity of domestic flights. From 16th October onwards, which was Saturday, airlines can now operate more flights, but they have to comply with the nighttime curfew, from 2300 to 3 a.m. Certainly, airlines are still required to implement in-flight COVID-19 prevention measures, such as mask wearing. International travelers arriving from low-risk countries will have to undergo a COVID-19 test upon arrival and await results at a Safety and Health Administration SH8+ or ASQ hotel. Let me now turn to some specific details that I can share with you regarding preparations for the country's reopening. I'm sure this is on the minds of many now following the news. Firstly, the public health authorities will hold talks with various transport agencies at the same time that the Department of Disease Control will hold meetings with several agencies and business operators this week to work out the specific details and measures required for the country's reopening. The CCSA realizes the importance of discussing preparations with all stakeholders to ensure that a finalized and comprehensive set of measures is achieved, and it is expected later this week. At the domestic level, the plan for this month is to inoculate at least 50% of the population, including foreign nationals, in each province, and to inoculate at least 80% of vulnerable groups, which includes the elderly, those with the 7 underlying health conditions, and pregnant women. In terms of the country's reopening, as you know, there are now 4 pilot provinces which have been opened under a sandbox scheme: Phuket, Surat Thani, Phang Nga, and Krabi. From the 1st of November onwards, 13 more provinces will be added to this list, which includes, to name a few, Bangkok, Phetchaburi, Chonburi, and Chiang Mai. The CCSA is doing its utmost to draw up measures that will ensure the safety of both incoming travelers and locals, whether it's continued efforts to strengthen Thailand's public health system and disease surveillance or comprehensive preventive measures for incoming travelers. Just now, it was mentioned that this afternoon, the CCSA, will be meeting once again, and we will have an update for you on Wednesday after the meeting in case there are more details to share with you regarding the reopening of the country. A bit of good news to share with audiences as well is that we have received a vaccine donation from the Republic of Korea. This morning, in fact, the ambassador of the Republic of Korea handed over 470,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine to the Minister of Public Health. Thank you very much to the Republic of Korea and to other countries as well, which have assisted Thailand in our vaccination drive thus far. Thailand continues to promote international cooperation on vaccines and medical equipment, as we hope all countries will rebound from the COVID-19 situation as soon as possible. And we hope as well to stimulate our economic recovery hand in hand. This is all I have for today. I wish everyone to stay safe and to see you again on Wednesday. Thank you. สวัสดีค่ะ